Good morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our opening hymn, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. It's number 361 in the gray hymnal, and of course the words are on the screen. And we will be singing verses 1, 3, 4, and 5. Be seated.
It's been a long, dark night, and I've been waiting for the morning. It's been a long, hard fight. I can see a brand new day dawning, and I've been looking for the sunshine. Just fine. Everything's gonna be alright. That's been all wrong. 'Cause I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. It's been a long, long time since I've known the taste of freedom. And those clinging vines that had me bound, well, I don't need them. Ooh, I've been like a captured eagle. Ooh, you know an eagle's born to fly high. See the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. I can see the light of a brand new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay.
Would the greeters please close the doors? Greeters, can you please close the doors? Thank you. Boy, do we need that. Thank you so much. Thank you for that affirmation. Alice, it is so great to see you back in your spot.
In a world that feeds on moral outrage,
We are here to cultivate moral courage.
in a time that prizes picking sides,
We gather to draw a wider circle.
and in a culture that teaches us to get for what we give and to ask what's in it for me,
We come to practice generosity and to remember we are all in this together.
in the midst of life's bitterness, we choose to sing, to give thanks, to laugh together, and to be keepers of beauty.
To offer a place of belonging for all who come in gladness and in pain.
To resist the push to the next moment and the next.
To slow down, to breathe more deeply, to feel a part of something greater.
For this hour and in this space, let us be the change we wish to see.
Come, let us worship together. And may the flame of our chalice beckon us toward the ultimate aim of our time together. The practice of a liberating love held at the center of all that we are, all that we might do, and all that we might together co-create in the world. May it be so. Good morning. And welcome to the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship on this Labor Day Sunday. I am Reverend Jacqueline Brett. I am the lead minister here, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender identities, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, or in your search for truth, meaning, and liberation, we welcome you here as we co-create beloved community together. If you're visiting with us on this day, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit so that we might give you an ERUUF welcome. Excellent. Yay. Excellent. It is so wonderful to see all of you here, and we're grateful that you have chosen to spend this Sunday morning with us. Directly after this event here, this worship service, we have a class called Inquirers for Visitors and Newcomers that is taking place in the building next door, and we invite you to attend. It's a class where you get to know a little bit about us, and we get to and you can share a little bit about yourself as well. In addition, if you have children with you, they may join our children in their religious exploration class. So just follow the parents and the other children out after the time for all ages, and you'll be told what to do at that point. So I have some announcements to make. Can someone remind me what next Sunday is? What? Say that again? Yes, we return to 2 services. We have a 9 a.m. meditative service, contemplative service. It actually begins at 10 of 9 for 10 minutes of a quiet sit, and then we begin the service, and then following that service, at 10 a.m. will be the Inquirers class for visitors and newcomers. So just remember that. That class will take place at 10 a.m. Come on down. Seats are right here. To the Rawls family. You all always sit over here. So that will happen next week. And also, the 11 o'clock service will follow that, and it will be here in the sanctuary, as always. That's our more, I sometimes say, the rowdier service, the noisier service. But it's both are wonderful services, and I enjoy them both. The other thing is that next week, our more formal classes for children begin for religious exploration. And do you want to say what those classes are, so that, because I am excited about the program for our kids this year.
Excellent. Yes, our pre-K through 5th grade does a curriculum that really aligns with our themes in worship. And the idea is really that we center them first in building community together, getting grounded as friends and people who connect together. And then we go on to learning a little bit more. And our middle schoolers are doing the Crossing Paths curriculum, which is used to be called the Neighboring Faith curriculum. So they get to go out into the world and explore a little bit of faith traditions after starting with some grounding in UU.
Right, so they'll be visiting other faith communities, is that right?
Yes.
Yes, that's really exciting. I'm really excited for them. So just remember that we have 2 services next week. Inquirers is after the 9 o'clock service at 10 a.m. And that our children, the RE classes, are actually in the 2nd service. Although we have classes, the nursery will be open for our smallest ones in the 1st service. And for those of you who want to know, that was at the request of the parents. I didn't arbitrarily decide not to have classes in the 1st service. The parents preferred to arrive here a little later on Sunday morning, and I can't blame them. And so my last announcement is that in 2 weeks from now, we have a very special Sunday, and that is the Sunday of our Connections Fair. For those of you who are visiting, it is a time when you really get to see just how active this place is. All of our groups will be out on the plaza. We will have food trucks, and it is actually a very fun day. It is also the day, for those of you who are members here, when we will formally recognize Reverend Kerr as our Minister Emerita. She's actually leading the service that day. So be here for that. But for the Connections Fair, they are still in need of canopies. So if you have a canopy that you can loan our membership team as they set up for the Connections Fair, please see Michael Gilbert Singletary, who is our Director of Membership Development. He will be so grateful. And if you don't know who Michael is, simply just let us know in the office, and we'll make sure that Michael receives your message. And with that, I will introduce Simon Kaplan, who is here to talk to us a little bit about our covenant groups and chalice circles, one of our largest ministries here in a great way to get connected and get to know people here in this congregation. Simon?
Thank you. Well, Reverend Jacqueline just kind of read my first paragraph, so. Covenant groups and chalice circles are an excellent way indeed to develop personal connections in the community and to explore some of life's major issues in a safe, supportive environment. These groups are a great way to meet more people, particularly if you're relatively new to ERUUF. They have 8 to 10 people, one of whom is a trained leader. Sessions run 90 minutes to 2 hours and follow an established structure discussing a different topic each meeting. The difference between the two formats is that covenant groups meet twice a month and are ongoing. Chalice circles meet monthly and run from October till May or June, but they can choose to continue. An important component of both types of groups are service projects, either here at ERUUF or in the wider community. I first joined a Chalice circle some months after starting to attend the fellowship, getting on for 20 years ago, and it really helped me grow my sense of belonging. The format appealed, a small group speaking one by one of matters both personal and profound. Everyone has a chance to speak before anyone does so twice. The idea is to talk about what you feel about something, not what you think about it, to approach the topic and the group from your heart rather than from your head. Central to the ethos is listening to one another deeply. You speak safe in the knowledge that you're not going to be interrupted or given advice or argued with. It's the listening that I like best. This is the main time of year to join the program. All it takes is completing a form on the ERUUF website, connect, covenant groups, request to join, and if you're new to the program, attending a 30 to 60-minute orientation in person or on Zoom in late September. You do not have to be a member of ERUUF to join a group. Immediately after this service and on the next 2 Sundays, the program steering team will be tabling in Fellowship Hall. You can ask them any questions and sign up. Registration ends September the 18th, after which they'll finalize groups for the upcoming year. Group leaders will be notified of their new people and will reach out to you. You'll be welcomed into a group with people you may not know yet, expanding your circle and perhaps your comfort zone a little bit too. Last year, the program had 160 participants across 17 covenant groups and chalice circles. It's easily the fellowship's most popular adult program. These groups are the ideal setting for the type of open and authentic spiritual, social, and intellectual engagement I seek here. Participation has been described as an anchor point and as an incubator for connecting. I invite everyone to join by September the 18th. Thank you.
Good morning. Took me a minute to figure out what that tune was. Good morning, good morning. I welcome all of our smallest and mediumest and tallest and our children of all ages to come on down for our time for all ages. You know, it's funny, last week the space was narrower. I'm used to it. I was used to that. Now there's so much space, y'all. Come fill the space, yes. So bear with me, friends down here and friends out there. I am a millennial and I should be better at using this technology, but I'm working with it today. So we're gonna hope it works for me and I work well with it. So this is our month where we are focusing on the practice of invitation. And our book today is called The Invitation, and it is about an invitation, predictably. So we will start. Izzy, one of our characters is named Izzy. Izzy's excitement is about to burst like a balloon. My birthday is in 2 weeks, she shouts. Inside voice, her classmates tell her yet again. How many people are really good at using their inside voice? Yeah. How many people struggle with using their inside voice sometimes? Yeah, it's true. Izzy's brain works a little differently. Sometimes her emotions whoosh big and fast, or she gets super stuck on things she likes. Sometimes she needs help learning or moves around while the teacher talks. Does anybody else move around while the teacher talks? And I know some lovely people who move around while the teacher talks. And some of us don't. But always, Izzy has a generous heart. Because she does. Kofi is new to school. He is organized, curious, and counting the days until he makes friends. Yeah, I'd say that's a face to me that looks like, I could use some friends. Kofi loves kickball, but he's nervous. What if the other kids don't like how he plays? Should I join in, he wonders. You think he should try and join in? Yeah, we'll see. Oh no, Izzy jumps into the game ahead of him, but she makes up her own rules and puzzles the group. The rest of the kids don't want to play anymore. Happens sometimes, right? Sometimes we want to get involved in something and whoops, we might step on some toes. They wander away and Kofi ends up left out. Did Izzy mean to leave Kofi out? No, it's an accident. Izzy thinks about Kofi while she finishes her party invitations. Should I invite him, she wonders. She slaps glitter and feathers and globs of glue onto one more piece of paper. Do you think she's going to invite Kofi? Yeah. Izzy dances up to Kofi. Don't be down in the dumps. You can come to my birthday party. Kofi hears the other kids talking not so nice about Izzy. They don't want to go to her party. Should I go, he wonders. What do you think? Should he go? Why should he go? What do you think? Any ideas? Any ideas? Do you think Kofi should go? If so, why? Because what? Because he's kind? And Izzy's kind? Yeah, that could be a reason. Izzy's trying to be real kind. Izzy and I are so different, he thinks, like chalk and cheese, chilies and chocolate, chickens and cows. I won't go, he decides, and throws the invitation in the recycling bin. I do wonder if feathers go through recycling or not, but I digress. Oh no! And then Kofi says, oh no. Do you think Izzy's feelings are hurt? Yeah. Do you think Kofi wanted to hurt Izzy's feelings? No, I don't think so. Izzy is confused. Don't you want to go, she asks Kofi. I don't know, he says. Izzy surprises Kofi as she walks away. It's okay, she shrugs. You don't have to go. And she's still smiling. Kofi tries apologizing to Izzy. I messed up. No skin off my nose, she says. You use funny sayings, he says. I love, love, love idioms. They don't mean what they sound like, Izzy says. Do you like riddles, Kofi asks. Nope, they do not tickle my fancy, she replies. She seems very honest. Pickles, Kofi asks. Izzy shudders. Yuck, not if my life depended on it. Now, that one I do agree with Izzy on. Snow, Kofi asks. We don't live at the North Pole, Izzy cries. My turn, Izzy says. How about monster movies? If they aren't too scary, Kofi tells her. Dinosaurs, Izzy asks. If they fly, Kofi says. You can come to my birthday if you change your mind, Izzy says. Kofi claps. Really? What just happened there? What just happened between Izzy and Kofi? They became friends? Yeah. What did they do to become more friendly?
They talked about what they like.
Yeah. Definitely, they talked about what they liked. Now, did they like all the same things? No. Did they need to like all the same things? No. But they got to know more about each other. Kofi has an idea. Let's count to 3 and say our favorite thing about birthdays. Izzy gives a thumbs up. Kofi counts off. 1, 2, 3. I'll look up there. Confetti cake! Glad I came, Kofi says, doing his best chicken dance. Glad I invited you, Izzy shrieks in her happiest outside voice. So Kofi accepted an invitation, and a new friendship was made. So as we think about invitations and coming together, I will let you go to exciting events planned out there. Have a wonderful day and see you soon.
Peace, salam, shalom. 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 Please turn and greet your neighbor.
As we enter this time for deepening and centering, I encourage you to find a comfortable way of being where you are sitting. Let your body relax. Perhaps your feet want to be on the floor, perhaps they are somewhere else. If you are comfortable, let your eyes close or lose focus. Today, as a time for meditation, deepening, and centering, I want to encourage us to reflect within ourselves on how a practice of invitation has been experienced in our lives, in your spaces and in your minds and or spirits. I want you to take a moment now silently to yourself to just reflect on what were times you felt invited into something, a space, a connection, a community. Times you felt invited into something that made you feel welcomed. Now, perhaps more complexly, take a moment to reflect to yourself on times you have practiced invitation in your life. Sometimes when we practice invitation, something blossoms, and sometimes it does tumble. All the blossoming and the tumbling is practice in how we might send love into this world. So take a moment now to reflect on when you have practiced invitation. Let us hold these reflections on our journeys in this practice of invitation. And each week, we hold the joys and concerns of this community together. And each week, we invite you to share those joys and concerns with us, both through the Joys and Concerns book, right outside the sanctuary before service, or through email at care@eruf.org. This week, among the joys that are held, we celebrate this joy that's happening broadly in the Triangle, that Wake County has increased its funding toward free preschool for low-income families. There is still more to be done, but it is a move in a good direction. We hold this and all joys held silently in community with warmth. We also hold the concerns of this community, both locally and more broadly today. Among those concerns, we hold the importance of large-scale vaccination attempts as Gaza faces a potential polio outbreak. May leaders come together for the health and well-being of those living there and communities beyond. We hold this and all concerns held silently in community with our care. In the spirit of community, amen and blessed be.
Reverend Jim did not know about the hostages that were found killed in a tunnel in Gaza. And so we hold this concern and this grief for the families and all those impacted in our hearts as well. May it be so. Ashe and amen.
Now, as you remain seated, we're going to sing a hymn for meditation, which is number 1002, Comfort Me, in your teal hymnal. The words will be on the screen. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me,
I feel compelled to ask us to take a moment of silence right now as we consider all the lives that have been lost in Gaza, whether they are Palestinian lives or the 7 Jewish lives that were hostages and found dead today, last night or yesterday. So let us all take a moment of silence as we hold all of these senseless deaths in our heart. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Good morning. Training coach Dr. Celestina Garcia sees invitation as a leadership practice, an opportunity to add value, participation, collaboration, love, or knowledge. Merriam-Webster adds that it's to welcome or urge politely. And thesaurus.com indicates other synonyms are to insist, persuade, or summon. How could suggesting or offering a possible solution to something be synonymous with firmly asking or demanding something forcefully? But then I thought of my grandmother. As some of you know, my grandma Minnie raised my very young mother and me together. Envision a sturdy woman of about 5'6", standing with fisted hands on her hips, a stern look upon her face, and a flowered apron tied around the neck and the back. She's sporting pink foam rollers, jumbled in freshly dyed hair, and is listening to old Negro spirituals. She never liked saying things twice and was equally quick with a laugh and a smack. Most relevantly, she was also known to invite you to do things. Yeah. For example, she'd say, "Lisa Ann, do you want to go get me a glass of water out the kitchen? Do you want to go get an armload of wood for the stove? Or go over to Effie's and get me some sugar?" Now, to know my grandmother was to understand those were not legitimate invitations, but more akin to firm insistence. However, for this purpose, I contemplated what practicing invitation might mean for myself or others, seeking to understand it through a lens of spirit or humanity. It's no surprise that I would be charged with writing a reflection on this topic, for despite a strong commitment to improving professional invitation, personally, it is an area that I am in need of growth. Despite my witty repartee, I struggle to invite others into my circle or ask for personal assistance. The reason is as old as time itself: fear. And I know that it's not unique to me. I mean, most of us have had experiences where invitation led to a feeling of rejection. We weren't like Izzy, who could just say, "No skin off my nose," and keep moving. Usually, these things happen while we were still young, not getting invited to the party, or inviting others to come to our party, be our friend, or take a relationship to the next level. And our feelings weren't reciprocated. Who could blame us for being hesitant? Studies show that both emotional and physical pain are rooted in the brain and create an equal toll on our bodies. An article by Dr. Denise Fournier in Psychology Today said it's a natural human tendency to seek pleasure and avoid pain, which falls directly in line with liberation theologian Dorothea Zerla and her discovery that humans can become so dominated by the need to avoid suffering that they just avoid human contact altogether. And for those of us that don't hide away, we people please. We drink when things get stressful, we leave tough relationships, hover over our kids, and withdraw from potentially painful situations. If we do get hurt, we may ease the pain of rejection with righteous indignation, saying, I'm never going to ask them to do anything ever again. Or manipulate by telling others there's no need to invite them anyway because they never come to anything. Ultimately, I realized that my practice rests in dealing with the fear of invitation without doing harm or running and hiding as I further traverse my challenge of achieving wholeness. To embrace the lessons of Buddha and Shakespeare, who both taught that unhappiness and heartache are because of one's expectations. To focus on the love that moves me to offer invitation versus a fixation on the outcome, which is really my ego. And lastly, to ensure my invitation is being offered in a way that provides the room and grace for others to choose to respectfully decline.
It is so good to see you all this morning. When I looked out my window, I was surprised to see that some of the trees have begun to form a tinge of autumn red. It is good to be together on this Labor Day weekend as people are squeezing in their last moments of summer holiday time. Whatever we might be doing this weekend, I invite us all to join in gratitude for our unions and labor movements, that we actually have a holiday that celebrates workers. It has been our unions that paved the way for much of what we now take for granted in our workplaces. The 5-day work week, or some have even 4 days. Holidays off. The expectation of health insurance and other benefits from our employers, and that we will work in a safe environment, and that most of us can share our grievances or blow the whistle when we become aware of or face harmful workplace practices. These systems are not perfect, which is why our unions remain active and engaged. As they fight for their rights, their accomplishments begin to influence fair employment practices for us all. So whether we are union members or not, happy Labor Day. One of the approaches for worship services that we incorporate here at ERUUF is the use of a resource called Soul Matters, used by several UU congregations. Each month, this resource serves as a general guide for the themes of our worship services, topics for our small group ministries, and the religious exploration classes for our children, our youth, and also our families at home. It has been a wonderful way for us all to learn together in ways that address our various contexts. Our overarching theme for the fellowship year of 24-25 is called The Practices of Our Faith. A frame that is also a way for us to connect to our UU value of centering a liberating love. There are two important points I invite you to keep in mind about all this. The first is that of practice. As we, and by that I mean you as well as all of us who are here on the chancel, as we together co-create these services, the invitation is to go beyond a passive taking in of information as though we are all solely involved in an intellectual pursuit. Instead, I invite us all to engage with great intention of that which is set before us, to embody it. Practice, as in allowing it to become a conscious intention of our hearts in the day-to-day, to not walk away merely thinking about, or worse, having forgotten what you've heard or witnessed. Our individual and collective practice reminds us that ours is an active, transformative faith, meant to be lived in the world, lived in the here and now. It is, in fact, the only way that transformation for the well-being of ourselves and the world around us actually occurs. We must live it. The second point is the notion of connecting with our value of a liberating love. As the participants in our poetry service demonstrated a couple of weeks ago, love can often seem vague or challenging to get our hearts and minds around. So much so that we most often wrestle with it instead of embracing it. But just to be clear, the love we speak of here invites us to stretch beyond the love of romance or even friendship to the love the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King spoke of when he said, "Power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and weak." Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that would stand against love. Amen. It took me a long time, several years in fact, to get at what King was talking about here. And while it is not our topic for today, know that it is worth your time to reflect upon these words about love. During that poetry service on wrestling with love, I invited you all to write down phrases from the various poems that especially stood out for you. Afterwards, someone showed me a full page of notes she'd taken. She was quite delighted by it all and said she looked forward to reflecting upon her notes later. It is with her experience in mind that I invite you to bring a notebook along or some paper or something that allows you to capture a phrase or a word or an idea that sparks something in you that you might wish to recall later and perhaps bring into your personal practice. So we've defined the type of love we mean, the love we might admittedly wrestle with, but let us not forget liberation, which means freedom. Our effort is to claim the practice of a love that ultimately frees us. Our conscious embodiment of such a love is what we aim to offer ourselves, those in our lives, what we aim to offer all beings, what we aim to offer the earth. We shall be naming practices throughout this year that allows us to unpack what it means to hold love at the center of our lives, a love that, if practiced, has the power to liberate us all, which I do not claim is easy. which is why we must practice. So in this first month of our congregational year, we focus upon the practice of invitation. So I want to share with you that each Thursday, the ministers and staff involved with worship here at ERUUF conduct a tech rehearsal during which we go over all that comprises what we plan for Sunday, although it might surprise you because I seem to forget a lot of those things. As with many of you, a highlight for us is when Reverend Jim reads the story. We could, of course, just fly by it, but we really appreciate hearing him read the story. Well, at the end of today's story, I asked, so what happened? Did anyone else come to Izzy's party? And Reverend Jim responded very kindly and patiently to me, as he does to our youngsters during the time for all ages. Well, we can see from the pictures that at least one other person did besides Kofi, but we really don't know, do we? However, what I find is really special is that Reverend Jacqueline's concern about all this. Doesn't that sound just like Reverend Jim? That's what he said. But I wondered whether that one other child beside Kofi in the illustration of Izzy's party represented only her singular self, or whether she was a representation of all the other children who attended the party. Now, this might seem as though I'm overthinking all this, but the story actually conjured a memory that arose for me when my mother and I planned my 12th birthday party. I, like Izzy, was excited and proudly hand-delivered invitations to the girls in our apartment building, especially all the cool girls. One who I knew very well asked me about my guest list. When she heard the name, she asked, "You're not inviting any boys?" "No," I innocently replied. On the day of my party, only 4 people showed up, 2 of whom were my younger sister's friends. None of the cool girls came. Unlike Izzy, this mattered to me very much. I was quite devastated. In that moment, my mother comforted me while also saying that I need to appreciate the girls who did come. And I eventually did, and we all had a good time. But it was also a pivotal moment as I realized those so-called cool girls viewed me as different than they were. As I thought about this memory over the past week, I wondered if this is the inner child in me who wonders how many of you will accept the invitation to be here on Sunday mornings. I wonder if people will come today, I sometimes muse to the staff. Of course they will, the staff responds with surprise. And of course many of you do, on pouring rainy days, on freezing cold days, on blistering hot days, when we spring forward and lose an hour of sleep, on holiday weekends like this one, and even during the annual pledge drive when you know I'll be asking you for money each week. Invitation, of course, is not simply about asking others to attend an event and hoping they will come, or having an invitation extended our way and wrestling with competing demands in our time as we decide whether we can accept the invitation or not. As with Lisa, I grew up in a world where people said what they wanted me to do and expected me to do it rather than inviting me to do anything. Though the people in my life were nowhere near as clever as Grandma Minnie, who posed her demands in the guise of a choice. "Do you want to go get me a glass of water?" In my world, direct requests were made, and I was expected to respond in the affirmative. However, being authentically invited to do something implies that we actually do have a choice. I learned this through Unitarian Universalism. And I learned to also practice this form of request as an invitation, which is why I earlier said I invite us all to join in gratitude for our unions and labor movements. And I invite you to bring along a notebook or some paper to take down a phrase or word. The implication is that you have the choice to also decline my invitations. We are always at choice, whether we or others understand this or not, which makes it all the more meaningful when others hold as a value with great respect that we each possess the inherent worth and dignity to choose. The practice of invitation involves not only responses to a request, but is also about the nature of our presence when others encounter us. A couple of days ago, a friend and I were about to cross a street downtown just as a man got off a bus. Seeing us, he headed in our direction, and seeing him, I avoided eye contact and headed the other way, clearly not inviting his approach and hoping my friend would follow suit, but she did not. He asked us for money. I shook my head no, while my friend, much to my chagrin, said, "I think I might have something I can give you." She dug in her bag and then apologetically offered him only a couple of bucks, which he gratefully accepted. He offered that his name was Chris. She told him her name and said to take care. I had 100 justifications for not offering and inviting presents to this person, ranging from fears for our safety to actually not having any cash to give. And I suspect my friend had as many reasons for showing respect for his presence. So much for inherent worth and dignity, I thought, as I recalled another friend who made it a habit to always carry loose singles in her pockets in case she ran across someone in need. I remembered how I once strove to imitate this, but had been neglecting this practice of invitation woven with generosity. In her poem, Red Brocade, one of my favorite poets, Naomi Shihab Nye, writes, "The Arabs used to say when a stranger appears at your door, feed him for 3 days before asking who he is, where he's come from, where he's headed. That way, he'll have strength enough to answer. Or by then, you'll be such good friends you don't care." Let's go back to that. Rice, pine nuts? Here, take the red brocade pillow. My child will serve water to your horse. No, I was not busy when you came. I was not preparing to be busy. That's the armor everyone put on to pretend they had a purpose in the world. I refuse to be claimed. Your plate is waiting. We will snip fresh mint for your tea. The practice of invitation requires something of us, a depth of open-heartedness, generosity, and a welcoming way of being, and discernment as well. And it is possible to be discerning as well as welcoming. When I think in terms of our Unitarian Universalist values, we strive to invite generosity, justice, equity, and pluralism, the recognition that it is possible to invite many beliefs and considerations at once in both heart and in our deeds, that we don't need to think alike or believe alike to love alike. All this out of a recognition that we are interdependent with the earth, with all other beings, and of course, with one another, even when we forget, as I did with Chris, who got off the bus and expressed his need for money. Because, as I said earlier, while all this is possible, it is not always easy. A powerful love that is not weak and sentimental rarely ever is easy, which is why we practice, with conscious intention so that we do not give way to our fears. Whether it is the fear of not having enough or being enough, the fear of change, or a very real fear for our safety. One of the anecdotes to my fears is curiosity, asking myself, what is the nature of this fear being stirred up in my body? Where is it located and why? Sometimes I can figure it out in the moment. Sometimes it's only later. Sometimes there is the very real need to take care of myself in the moment, offering self-compassion and safety when needed, recognizing that it is the most important thing I might do at that time. Ours is a faith tradition that recognizes that we are not perfect, nor need we be. And though our imperfections might result in consequences we must eventually address, our imperfections do not make us or others unworthy. We can embrace this understanding by inviting ourselves to practice, which by its very nature means that we won't get it right every time. Otherwise, we wouldn't need to practice. And at other times, our ceiling will become our floor as we understand we have grown, been transformed through our commitment to our practice, which now calls us toward newer growth. Or we might realize with some surprise that we are touching the limits of the circle we have drawn around ourselves, and so we are called to draw it even wider. And when we do, we might recall the words of the late Joseph Campbell, a writer and well-known professor of comparative mythology and religion, who once said, mythology tells us that where you stumble, there your treasure is. Where it seems most challenging lies the greatest invitation to find deeper and greater power in ourselves. When we come across such invitations, may we find it within ourselves to accept them. Amen, Ashe, and may it be so. We weave the fabric of beloved community when we draw our circle wider and ever wider and cultivate hearts of generosity as a sacred practice, as we commit ourselves to offering what we can through our time, our treasure, our gifts, our talents, our imagination, creativity, and of course, our love held at the center. As we realize our mission, our vision, and our work in the world. As the greeters come forward to pass the collection pouches, if you do not have anything to place inside them, feel free to point your device at the QR code on the screen, or you'll find in your pew racks a card that has a QR code on it that you'll be able to point your device to, and then you can follow the prompts that will lead you to our giving portal. If you need assistance with any of this, you can receive help in the office directly after the service. Claudia Kaplan will provide our offertory, singing the song by one of my favorite singers.
If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that love can't break your heart, when you're down so low you cannot fall, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction, what cause and effect makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. If you knew that you would be alone, knowing right, being wrong, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would find a truth that brings a pain that can't be soothed, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction, what cause and effect makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. Are you so upright you can't be bent if it comes to blows? Are you so sure you won't be crawling? If not for the good, why risk falling? Why risk falling? If everything you think you know makes your life unbearable, would you change? Would you change? If you'd broken every rule and vow, and hard times come to bring you down, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? If you saw the face of God and love, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change?
We have so much to give thanks for here, do we not? Thank you, Claudia. That was beautiful. We give thanks for all of the gifts of our beloved community. And we will now have our closing hymn.
Please rise in body or spirit. Join us in singing hymn 1018, Come and Go With Me. It's in the teal hymnal. The lyrics are on the screen. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to
bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound.
There'll be justice. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. Oh, where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. They'll be singing. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. Where I'm bound. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound.
Our closing words today are from the book Your Heart Was Made for This by Oren J. Safar, who writes, "Your heart was made for love, for connection, belonging, and meaningful relationships with other people, beings, and the earth. Your heart was made to give and receive, to know joy, purpose, and freedom. If we do not shape our hearts, the world will do it for us." And so the invitation, dear friends, is to consciously practice with intention the shaping of your own heart. May it be so. Amen. Ashe. Go in peace and go in love.